From Your World Discovered on E.P.N, my name is David Ewen, and this is Your World Discovered. Welcome to the program. We're going to be talking with the author of Bonded at Birth, and the author is Gloria Oren. Gloria, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And Gloria, tell us a little bit about the book. What is it, Bonded at Birth?
Bonded at Birth is a story of loss, survival, determination, and persistence. It covers 1 state, 3 countries, and 2 continents. It covers 16 years of searching and a little over 4 decades since my first adoption.
So this is based on fact. This is not a fiction book. This is nonfiction.
It is nonfiction. It's a memoir.
Oh, okay. It's a memoir. Tell us a little bit about the history and the storyline, or fact line, I should say, of where the book takes the reader.
Okay. It starts out in Brooklyn, New York. I was born and adopted by a family who had lost an adopted son 5 years before I was born. And I was raised there. At the age of 15, I moved with my adoptive mother to Israel and married there. And in 1985, I came back to the States and picked up real time on my search. And in 1996, my birth mother found me.
Now, you say your birth mother found you. Was she looking for you, or did you put something out so that she could find you?
She was looking for me, but she made a big mistake. She went to New York with a friend of hers, and they went to the vital statistics office, and they asked her who she was, and she said that she was the birth mother. Well, New York adoption files are sealed, so they told her, sorry, you can't get anything. So she didn't know where to go from there. And later on, she asked a cousin's husband, who was living in Israel at the time, but he had gone to the American embassy in Israel, because when they adopted me, my adoptive mother had mentioned to my birth grandmother that it would be possible that sometime in the future we may move to Israel. How things came about, I really don't know. But since they had that information, she sent him to the American embassy in Tel Aviv. And he had a friend who worked there, and they found that I married there. And then they went to the rabbinate, and they found the witness, who was my father-in-law, and they contacted him, and he couldn't speak English, so he contacted me, and I ended up calling her cousin's husband, and he told me that she's waiting for my call. It was just all in like 5 minutes of a phone call.
So how long was the journey from the start of actively looking, or was it something that was in your heart all this time? Give us a sense of how long the journey to search for your mother was.
Well, I started little by little before the age of the internet, and it was mostly by mail, and some attorneys in New York had told me that I should forget about it because I have no information and it would be very hard to track her down. And then I had multiple medical issues pop up, and every time it popped up, it intensified my wanting to search. And then when the internet came in and grew, my search grew with it. And at first there was a mailing list for adoptees, which I joined, and they helped out a bit, and it just grew.
Now we're talking about the contact with your mother, but not your father. Is that correct?
Right. I had no clue who he was, so it really didn't burn to find him at that point when I started searching. I was searching for my birth mother because I had a little information. I knew she was a teenager. I knew she stayed with my parents for 3 months until I was born. I knew she was from New York originally and had moved to Canada. And I was given information from two sources. One said Nova Scotia, the other said Montreal. So I was kind of looking on two ends.
So it looks like you had sort of a trail of information and bits and pieces that came to you, and just it sounds like just a level of persistence that just kept on going allowed you to eventually find your mother. It was just a matter of time. It sounded like it was going to happen, but because the effort was there on both parts, it looks like that it was going to bound to happen anyways. Am I correct in that assumption?
Mm-hmm.
And so what was the meeting day like?
I was head of the Social Concerns Committee in my daughter's elementary school at the time. And that day we had an 8:30 in the morning meeting. Well, I got the call at 6 in the morning. And I managed to get her ready, get her fed, and call my birth mother and call my birth grandmother all before we got to school. It was that hectic.
And so that was by phone. And did you actually meet in person?
Yes, we met in person in July.
And how long had that relationship gone on since then? When did this happen?
That happened in 1996.
So this is long. Now, is your mother still with us, or has she passed? Yes. Or
she is, actually. I spoke to her last night.
Oh. And is she here in the States or in Canada?
No, she's in Canada.
Very good, very good. And do you make routine visits? Are you catching up on lost years?
About 2 years ago.
Very nice, very nice. So what is the message you have for those who have been adopted who seek their parents, their lifeblood parents?
Just do it. Whether you have information or not, just start looking somewhere. You know where you were born, hopefully, or you think you know where you were born. Start with that point. And sometimes you find information. Another point today is with the DNA testing. It's a great help. Just go and do them. Do all the testing you can do. It doesn't matter how much it costs, but you never know.
And the title of your book is Bonded at Birth. Tell us about the selection of that title.
I've always known somewhere in the subconscious that I would reconnect with her, just because knowing that she was a teenager, I knew that she wouldn't be old enough to be gone unless something catastrophic had happened. And it just sort of was a guiding push behind me that I just knew it. And I related that to some kind of bond between us.
Well, right now, it's been 20 years. I think you said you and your mother found each other in 1996.
Correct.
So it's been 20 years. So that, I imagine, was able to recover lost time. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And you know, there's nothing, the lost years are always given back in a situation like this. Now, tell us what it was like the first time you received Bonded at Birth. It came in the box. It's a real book. What was that like when you first saw it for the first time?
It was fantastic. It was holding something that I worked on for so long and finally seeing it produced in something that you can hold on to. It's unexplainable.
Now, before the book was released, you had an assessment in your head as to what people would think about it. And now that the book is out and some people have read it, tell us what some people are saying and what the unexpected outcome was from the book.
I'm getting reviews on Amazon from people who are not necessarily adoptees, who not necessarily have anything to do with adoption, but they love the book and they recommend it for anybody to read. But I'm also getting feedback from adoptees who are just really feel that they're in the book when they read it.
That's a good way to put that. They feel that they're in the book. What surprised you the most when the book was released? What did you get out of the book? What was the revelation you received once the book was finally out?
The feedback. I mean, I knew people liked it and there was this, but the actual feedback and the comments that people have provided are just, it makes you feel good.
Well, this is a wonderful story. The book is Bonded at Birth. My guest today has been Gloria Oren. And again, the book is Bonded at Birth. Gloria, thank you so much for joining me on Your World Discovered.
You're welcome.
This is Your World Discovered. My name is David Ewen, and this is E.P.N.